Hey, welcome back. Today's video is about what to do if your bolt becomes decocked on a 700 Remington style bolt. Now, when I say 700 Remington style, I mean things like this impact action, a Kelbley's action of any sort, or Remington action, and many of the other clones that are out there. They all have basically the same firing pin system in them, and they can all be recocked with the same general techniques. So I'm going to show you 2 additional techniques in addition to the ones that my friend Ryan over at MDT showed just the other day to give you some ideas how to recock the bolt. Now, this comes up because one of my squad mates at Saturday's match had a decocked bolt and had to figure out how to solve it on his own. And I really didn't realize that many people don't know how to take care of this. If you're out at a PRS match, that's one thing. You're going to lose points potentially if you don't get it recocked. If you're hunting, you may lose an opportunity to take an animal. So I want to make sure that you have the skills you need in order to do this. So the first way we're going to do it is the direct method. So for this particular bolt, it's hard to document how to do this because your hands are in the way. But all we're going to do is we're going to take our weak hand and we're going to put our thumb against the bolt handle. We are then going to take our strong hand and wrap it around the cocking piece and the shroud specifically. And we're simply going to bear down on it with our hands and lock it into place like that. Now we have an operational rifle ready to go. Now that method doesn't always work depending on how much firing pin spring you have and how good of a cocking ramp you have. This is a Kelbley's bolt from my Golden Bear, and I can do it too pretty easily with just my bare hands. This is a 24-pound spring. This is a 24-pound spring. As a matter of fact, they both have Kelbley springs in them. I recommend 24-pound Kelbley springs for 700 Remington style actions, realizing that 21 pounds is standard. Now, this is a 700 Remington bolt out of my hunting rifle. This is going to be harder to do because the cocking ramp isn't quite so refined as it is on a custom action. I might be able to do it with my hands. Let's see. Nope, I just can't do it. So let's go to method number 2, which is actually the one that I recommend for everyone to use because it's easier and you're less likely to make your thumb really sore while doing it. So let's get down on the ground and take a look. So let's say you can't turn it with your hand. I mean, you're just kind of stuck. You don't quite have a tough enough thumb to do it, or the firing pin spring is too heavy. So I have a standard firing pin spring here, 24 pounds. And I also brought my other bolt. This one has a 32-pound spring in it. It's ridiculous heavy, very hard to cock, and you aren't going to turn this with your hands. At least I can't, not even with a glove on. I can't do it. So I'm going to demonstrate how to do both of those. Now, before we get started doing this, if you have one of these with you, a firing pin spring tool, just use that. It's easier. This is for shop work. Okay, back to the original bolt. Now, my friend Ryan from MDT showed the other day how to do it with a shoestring. In order to do that, you're going to have to unlace your boot a little bit, at least to get a little string. And then he's going to capture the bolt head between his shoes. Now, there's 2 problems with this in my mind. The first is you're stuffing that bolt head into the dirt. Not ideal. The second thing is, if you slip off of the cocking piece with your shoelace, you are going to hit yourself somewhere. And if the bolt slips from between your shoes, you're going to hit yourself somewhere really sensitive with a heavy chunk of steel going at high speeds. I just don't recommend it. So instead, let's do it the other way. Let's invert the whole problem. So we're going to take our shoelaces, just like Ryan did, and we're going to use them, but we're going to leave our shoe tied. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my index finger of my weak hand, I'm going to stick it under a shoelace. This is just a pair of Keen boots that I was wearing, and I'm going to stick that cocking piece right there underneath that lace. Now, this is actually quite easy to do. I'm going to support the shroud with my hand and put my thumb on this corner of the shroud, and then I'm just going to pull straight up. Now, if you look, the bolt head is captured in my wrist here inside my hand, so if I slip, and I hit myself, I'm hitting myself with my hand, not with a bolt head. So I'm just going to pull. And I'm going to pull. And then I'm going to rotate the bolt into place and let it down. And I have a cocked bolt. Now, with a super heavy bolt, it works the same way. We do the exact same thing. We're grabbing it by the body of the bolt and the head. And we're going to pull straight up away from our body as much as we can. Rotate the bolt into place, let it down. And you've got a cocked bolt. All right, guys, that's all it takes to recock a bolt. There's the method that Ryan showed, which works just fine. There's my method, and there's probably 3 or 4 more. There's no right way, there's just many ways, and there's the way that's most comfortable for you. So give them a try, see which one works for you, and use that in the occasion that you have a decocked bolt. Now, how often does this happen? Honestly, knock on wood, I haven't had it happen in competition yet. As a matter of fact, I've never had it happen in hunting either. And there's a good reason for it. Let me show you. The bolt has a notch in it that holds it cocked. If you're trying for no cock on close, you're scraping across that little lump in there that's holding it cocked every time you close a bolt. You're eventually going to wear it out to the point where it's going to drop out of cock every once in a while on you. So it's better to have a little bit of cock on close to protect that bump so that your bolt stays cocked all the time. It makes your life easier. All right, guys, that's all there is to this one. Recock the bolt if it becomes decocked, and then take it to a gunsmith if it does it to get that fixed so that your bolt doesn't give you a hard time for the entire life of the rifle. Until next time, shoot straight. Think about ways to fix things without having to have expensive and heavy tools with you. I'll see you in the next video.